Will the U.S. ban TikTok? National security concerns are growing over Chinese apps like TikTok. Welcome to China Uncensored. I'm Chris Chappell. TikTok, a self-absorbed Gen Z waste of time or a global security threat? Well, why not both? TikTok has 800 million active users worldwide. It's the home of everything from dance challenges to cute animal videos to reboots of your favorite 90s educational television.
So the reason we want you to wear a mask is to protect you, sure. But the main reason we want you to wear a mask is to protect me from you and the particles from your respiratory system from getting into my respiratory system. Everybody, this is a matter literally of life and death.
I remember that show being more fun as a kid. TikTok is also owned by a Chinese company, ByteDance, and that means trouble. Around the world, TikTok is being banned. India banned it along with 58 other Chinese apps. Australia's Defense Department and the Pentagon have also said tick not. Political campaigns have warned staffers not to use it. Private companies have told employees to delete TikTok on their work phones. Even top gamer Ninja deleted TikTok over privacy concerns. And honestly, considering how gamers have been standing up to the Chinese Communist Party, I'm beginning to think they should be running things. The Gamer Republic. The revolution begins in your mom's basement. Now, the US government may be considering a bigger ban on TikTok as well.
If all that's the case, shouldn't we be considering right now, tonight, a ban on Chinese social media apps, especially TikTok?
Laura, your viewers should know we're taking this very seriously. We're certainly looking at it.
Would you recommend that people download that app on their phones tonight, tomorrow, anytime currently?
Only if you want your private information in the hands of the Chinese Communist Party.
TikTok collects a lot of user data. Things like your username, what you like, where you are in the world, what's being recorded by your camera and microphone, etc. Now, security researchers say TikTok's information collection practices are consistent with Facebook, Google, and other US tech companies. I don't know whether that's really reassuring. But the bigger problem with TikTok is where your data goes. Up until last year, TikTok's privacy agreement said, "We will also share your information with any member or affiliate of our group in China." Okay, that is definitely not reassuring. Now, TikTok changed their privacy agreement in February 2019 after the US government fined it for illegally collecting children's data. Well, that's creepy. So TikTok's current privacy agreement, at least the US version, does not clearly specify whether or not user data would be transferred to or be accessible from China. When a reporter tried to clarify with TikTok, they responded that for US TikTok users, their data is stored in the US, not in China. And TikTok doesn't even operate in China, so there's no way the government of the PRC can access user data. Which is reassuring, until you realize they're being a little slippery here. They claim that TikTok doesn't operate in China, but TikTok's parent company, ByteDance, does operate in China. They have an app called Douyin, which is TikTok. In the statement to the reporter, TikTok also highlighted the difference between data being physically processed in China versus data being processed by their China-registered entities. They said that personal data has not been physically processed in China, but since they didn't say whether data is processed by their China-registered entities, that makes it sound like, yeah, it probably is. For example, their company in China could be accessing data on servers in the US, which is not reassuring. This is kind of like when TikTok tried to claim that its parent company, ByteDance, wasn't a Chinese company because it's registered in the Cayman Islands. Yeah, that's like someone saying, "Hey, I don't work for the mafia, I run a laundry business." But since TikTok won't give a straight answer on whether their Chinese entities can access our user data, We don't know how risky it is. We just have to trust them. And why wouldn't you? Okay, that might be a good reason. But there are many others. The Chinese Communist Party wants your data. We know how the Chinese Communist Party uses data on Chinese citizens. As the New York Times says, according to the Soviet-style playbook that still influences Chinese security services, collecting haystacks of citizen information by whatever means necessary is the foundation of social control and, quote, stability maintenance. But what about people outside of China? China has already stolen massive amounts of American personal data. The Justice Department has accused Chinese military hackers of the 2017 Equifax hack of 145 million Americans' data. On top of that, China has been blamed for the hack of the Office of Personnel Management, which affected 22.1 million Americans. And Chinese nationals have been charged for the Anthem hack, which affected almost 80 million Americans. And this isn't limited to the United States. According to the Carnegie Endowment for Peace, China is using cyber power to rise and ultimately win global dominance. Now, what I just mentioned was stolen information. What about the information we give to China? And that's where national security concerns over TikTok begin. Now, you might be thinking, what kind of sensitive information could really come from TikTok? Well, according to the Lawfare blog, such information could be used to develop profiles on Americans in ways that lend themselves to enhanced micro-targeting on social media and other platforms. And there's ample evidence that the Chinese Communist Party does target Americans on social media. An extreme example is how they've used LinkedIn to recruit spies. Now, to be clear, there's no evidence that TikTok has given user data to Chinese authorities. And TikTok has said their data centers are located entirely outside of China, and none of their data is subject to Chinese law. They also said they have never been asked by the Chinese government to remove any content, and they would not do so if asked. Right. As the New York Times points out, given what we know about Beijing's illiberal impulses, there is a gap between what is provable beforehand and what is prudent to presume. Like whether you can say no to Beijing. In 2017, Chinese leader Xi Jinping introduced the National Intelligence Law. It mandates that Chinese companies must support, assist, and cooperate with state intelligence work. The US State Department is also concerned about what China calls military-civil fusion. It's an attempt to deliberately erase the line between China's military and civilian sectors. Basically, the Communist Party can get any Chinese company to hand over data. And there are already clear indications that pressure from the party influences TikTok's parent company, ByteDance. Back in 2018, the party was complaining ByteDance was promoting vulgar content. And so, ByteDance announced it would hire 2,000 more people to review content. The job ads noted that party members and candidates with strong political sensitivity would be preferred. They also studied policies laid out at a recent cyberspace conference and the spirit of President Xi Jinping's speech at that event, according to state-run news site China Economic Daily. Now, none of this is a smoking gun that the party's influence on ByteDance does affect TikTok. TikTok is very quick to point out that it has an American CEO. And when have Americans ever been bought off by the Chinese Communist Party? But if you'd like to know more about how the US government is pushing back on China, check out yesterday's episode on our other channel, America Uncovered. I'll put a link below. And now it's time for me to answer a question from you, fans who support China Uncensored on the crowdfunding website Patreon. Logan asks, what's the risk to a normal American that uses TikTok? Very appropriate question for today's episode, Logan. So yeah, it's easy to see why it might be a national security risk for someone in the Pentagon to be using TikTok, or even a civilian but who might be working on like cutting-edge satellite imaging technology. But for your average person, well, remember, there is a reason why Beijing wants American user data. Not just high-level government workers, but your average American. Never in history has there been as much personal data being put out there as there is right now. No one really knows what can be done with it, especially as advancements are made in AI. I actually think an Australian politician, Andrew Hastie, said it best. Australia has over 1 million young TikTok users. He told the Epoch Times that TikTok is an attractive database for the Chinese Communist regime to collect data on the habits, psychology, and personal preferences of over 1 million young Australians. And sure, right now a lot of them are teenagers. But Hastie says that is powerful intelligence to have on our future political, military, business, and social leaders. So even though someone might be just an average American teenager now, who knows what they'll be in 10 years. And TikTok is unique because it's pretty much the only Chinese social media app that's gotten hugely popular outside China. Sure, WeChat is more dangerous, but non-Chinese people don't really use it. And when it comes down to it, do you really want to trust an app that is tied to an authoritarian regime with a known history of using technology for sinister purposes? Thanks for your question, Logan. And for all of you watching, do you use TikTok? And if so, did this episode make you change your mind? Tell me what you think in the comments below. And if you want to have your question answered on the show, join the China Uncensored 50 Cent Army by contributing on patreon.com/ChinaUncensored. Once again, I'm Chris Chappell. See you next time.